This is Sam Rashkin. Welcome to the fourth and final video on the SIPA True Cost Bidding Tool. In the first video, we explain why you use this tool, why it's a compelling resource for you to have more competitive bids getting new projects. In the second video, we gave you an overview from beginning to end how to use the tool. In the third video, we showed you an actual project and applied the bidding tool to getting some amazing, compelling results on a much more effective choice for the builder. And in this final video, the rubber meets the road. How do we use the results and close the deal? So sales is about trading value, and there's tremendous value with SIPs. In the first case, just look at a SIP home on the left compared to a conventional framed house on the right. And just it's obvious how much more simple and elegant advanced wall assemblies are compared to 150-year-old construction, to hundreds and hundreds more pieces to be assembled, thousands of additional fasteners and nailing pieces that have to be managed, quality control throughout the process that makes it much, much more simple and quality controlled to use SIP construction. And then when we look at the detail of the assemblies, you see it firsthand. On the SIP home on the right, and an equivalent continuous insulation insulated assembly home on the right, you see again, you don't have to manage all the framing details, the in-place insulation that's done in the field, the rigid insulation that's put outboard, all the control factors that go along with that, they all go away. Then next, you can look at just the field construction process itself, just how simply panels assemble versus constructing wood framing in the field. And finally, when you go inside the home and look at the details, conventional construction, we know we're dealing with tremendous challenges with dimensional accuracy. We know that framing tends to move and expand and contract much more, so you're vulnerable to cracking. We also know that sheetrock or drywall has to be installed directly on a stud, so there's a tremendous amount of cutting and fitting, and therefore also a lot of waste that has to then be transported to the dumpster bins. We know that you have to have a lot more challenges when you have blower door tests meeting the targeted air tightness levels, and often a lot more rework to air seal when you have to bump up your numbers you're getting from the testing. And then there's framing inspections, there's insulation inspections. There's also the advantage that when you have a SIP wall, our research from national laboratory tests show us that a 4-inch SIP will outperform a 6-inch frame wall. So in effect, we're gaining 2 inches around the entire perimeter, and we're gaining square footage. And when square footage can cost anywhere from $300 to $1,000 a square foot, depending what market you're in, that's a huge value added that needs to be counted. And then, of course, with SIPs and SIPs for roof applications, we have all that added volume that can be used for occupied space, for storage. There's so many benefits to having SIP roofs give you that capability. Then there's just the performance during prevailing disaster risk situations. In the case of wildfires, you don't have to worry about embers getting into your attic, igniting framing, and with airtight construction with SIPs, much less worries about smoke outside getting inside and exacerbating indoor air quality. With hurricanes and tornadoes, you don't have to worry about flying debris nearly as much as with conventional framing, with a much greater impact resistance. So when you add this all up and look at what value are you translating, you have all these hidden cost savings related to cycle time, all the insulation you don't have to install, all the airflow control you don't have to install, the less work with finishes, the additional benefits of quality control on reducing waste and rework. When you look at the superior user experience, you have additional quality from strength and dimensional accuracy, enhanced resilience, you have added volume where thinner walls can displace thicker framing that creates additional occupied space. Also, vaulted ceilings create additional volume, and you have all that attic space that can be used for storage and living space. So we have all these benefits, and the SIPA True Cost Bidding tool is there to translate that value for you. So let's make sure we use this tool, and let's recognize that we have two primary customers. The first will be conventional frame builders who were trying to switch to SIPs. And then there are SIPs builders and trying to give them a bid to help them understand all the value they're getting. So let's look at basically the types of homes that we might be bidding. One is a SIP optimized home, where the home's designed for all the ways that SIPs are manufactured and installed. And then there's non-SIPs optimized homes, and then we have to adjust for that, often with a lot of extra cost. So we took an example last training class where we looked at this particular SIP optimized design. It was an 800 square foot 2-bedroom home with very high quality materials in the exterior finishes, the interior finishes, all the components. It was an amazing home for under $200,000. It's a myth that SIPs takes and makes homes go out of budget. This is an incredibly affordable home. And what was exciting about this project was how well SIP optimized it was designed. First, the floor plan was designed for the panel sizes, and it was a very simple footprint, which also accommodates SIPs. Then the floor plan was laid out so that posts could be set within the walls to support the ridge beam down the middle, holding up the roof panels. The roof panels had their sizes optimized so they could span the distance from the ridge beam to the walls. And then the roof itself was a very simple configuration, ideal for SIPs. When you go inside, you also had all this storage space. It was like a loft above the bedrooms. And in the living space, we had vaulted ceilings, all of it adding significant value to this home. So this was a great example when you had a SIP optimized home, how you can get compelling results. And so this was the outcome from running this home. In the last class, we went through all the inputs to get to this final summary page. If you remember, the top is the summary number for what is the net SIP cost benefit, assuming there is one. Then you have the SIP cost savings itemized by all the components of the home. And then you had all the added value itemized by all the components that make a home live better. So the number from the component costs was a net $400 savings with SIPs. And that shows up on the blue bar at the very top as the cost savings, or A. And then we had the added value, which was $37,250 that was provided by all the enhanced living features in the home. And that goes in the blue bar. Here is the added value, the B component. A plus B equals C, the net cost advantage with SIPs, in this case, $37,650. The 400 plus 37,250 is this number C. So that's what basically happened last time. This amazing results because it was a SIP optimized home. Now the key thing about this page is it's so valuable for you to understand where you have the greatest strength selling your SIP product. First of all, you notice that you're starting with a $14,000 deficit because of the structure. The SIP bid versus the framing bid, it was $14,000 greater. Often when you're giving SIP bids, you wind up with sticker shock with a builder who sees these two numbers. And this is where the SIP true cost bidding tool is so important. We have to translate all the other hidden costs and value to get past that sticker shock. So what we find is we gain about $5,000 in value for the all the insulation that's embedded in the SIP panel that you do not have to install, and quality control. Then you get another $3,500 of value for the airflow control that comes with the SIPs and how they're installed. And then on the value of time, you gained another $5,000 of value. Other components for finishes, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, quality control are there counted, but we want to focus on what provides the biggest selling advantage. So this is where the focus should be on your messaging. Then on the added value, we gained $2,000 for the value of the greatest strength and dimensional accuracy, and we gained $1,000 for the additional resilience. Here again, we just assume value numbers by a percentage of the construction cost. There's a lot of ways to do this. Over time, you'll find more and more where you need to be. Where's the sweet spot when you work with builders in terms of what is a really defensible number for strength and accuracy and for resilience. And note that the value of the added square footage because of the thinner walls is almost 5,000, and the extra spaces created by the vaulted ceilings and the attic loft for storage added $20,000 of value, assuming a cost per square foot value for each of those components. So this is what drives the net numbers, and you have to know these numbers, and you have to know going into the sales process. These are the ones you want to focus on. You can see that if you just had a home that was not SIP optimized, often you don't get past that cost difference if you still have to build a lot of structure that's duplicative of cases where you don't have to do it when you're SIP optimized. So there you are. And let's move on to say, what do you do with this? And my most important message here is you start just with only the final number. When you communicate with the builder after you run the SIPA true cost bid tool process, you just want to get back to the builder, call them up or email and say, exciting news. I've run the cost analysis. I've looked at all the factors that you will confront as a builder, and we have a $37,650 cost advantage with SIPs. Can I get a half hour of your time to walk you through the assumptions just so you understand why this is such a better option for you than conventional framing? All the purpose with the results is to get a meeting with the builder so you can walk through the assumptions. The idea here is that you want the builder to look at the numbers, approve or modify the numbers so they own the final result. So when you go with a builder, one of the things I would recommend is just bring your checklist with you. You could use the SIPA True Cost tool and walk through it page by page. The advantage of the checklist will be you have everything in one sheet right in front of you. It might be easier to work with the builder. You go through section by section, say, here are the assumptions I made, here are the estimates I pulled from various cost of material resources, whatever it may be, or here's a value that we think is reasonable for quality control, and how you just made an estimate of that number. Everywhere they approve, you're in great shape. If they say, no, it doesn't cost me $500 a day to be in business, I think it's more like 400, cross out 500, put in 400. Whatever corrections or edits they make, the key thing here is you have them owning the outcome after that you insert those. So when you're done, you just rerun the numbers in the tool right in front of them if you have a tablet or a computer, and here's the new number. Instead of $37,650, maybe it's $31,500, but they own it. You don't care if it's the full 36 or 31,000. You want them to own the outcome, and then it's exciting. They have to really think, do they want to give up that much cost advantage? Now, if it's a non-SIP optimized home, things are different. You have two options. One is you can modify the design to get it SIP optimized. There's a cost to do that, and you have to make sure this is worth your investment to do that. The other option you have is to enhance the quality inputs so the inputs are enough to offset the premium. In other words, the quality benefit can be a lot of numbers. We often use small numbers to be conservative in a SIP optimized home because we want to remove roadblocks. But if you're in a non-SIP optimized home, that's your only main option for how you can compete. Structure, the costs are what they are. Insulation, the costs will be what they are. Airflow, finishes, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, inspections, rework, and training. There's only so much you can do with, and the cycle time is also hard to negotiate and to adjust. Where you have a lot of flexibility is when you talk about the value of strength, dimensional accuracy, resilience. Those numbers can go incredibly up and down depending on each individual person's expectations and assumptions about what the market will bear. But if you know the number you have to hit, you can put numbers in here to offset the extra cost of SIPs and just get your number so you can be more competitive. If you can't, it means that you have a higher cost option. And it just has to be, in that case, that the builder just wants SIPs. These are what values and the cost savings that make the total cost package apples and apples for the builder. So this is where you have your best option. On strength and quality, you can build up the numbers on resilience. And think about it, on a custom home that's very maybe high-end, a homeowner will really value having a construction enclosure technology that is state-of-the-art versus 150 years old and much more impact resistant and prepared for, let's say, if they're prevailing wildfire risks to keep the smoke out. Those values can be incredibly high. You are absolutely able to put in substantial numbers there and make SIPs competitive. So I hope this makes sense. This is your ability to now take your numbers and put them to work for you. And don't forget one more thing. As you keep using the SIPA True Cost Bidding tool, you're building a library of knowledge, data from project after project that refines your understanding of competitive costs and also the costs that are interrelated that you need to know, because SIPs helps reduce them along the way. So I hope this makes sense. We're so excited for you to start using the tool, and we'll look for your numbers in the future.